The 1980s Finals MVPs. Finally, a decade that is not completely stacked in terms of its Finals MVPs. Not to disrespect the 80s or anything, but when you compare them to the 90s and the 2000s Finals MVPs, oh man, this was a much easier list for me to create the ranking for. So let's get into it with the only C tier Finals MVP I have for this decade. That is going to be Cedric Maxwell in 1981. Now, many people will argue that Larry Bird should have won the Finals MVP. I think it could have gone either way. Bird was significantly better as a playmaker and a rebounder, but his efficiency was very bad. Whoever it would have gone to, though, this was a C-tier performance. It just wasn't that special. Maxwell gave you about 18 points. He did it on decent efficiency, but that's just not enough scoring and not enough of a standout performance to be any higher than the C-tier. So moving into the Bs, I'm going to go with Magic Johnson in 1982 as his worst finals performance, which he won Finals MVP during, that is. This was pretty much just a stock standard Magic Johnson performance. He scored decently, his efficiency was fine, he playmaked very well, as he does, he's Magic Johnson, got some boards, but overall there was just nothing special about this, and at the time Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was still very much in his prime as well, providing great help to Magic. Their competition from the Eastern Conference was not the Celtics, it was a 76ers team who, while very good, were not the type of super team competition they would become the next year, so I'm only going to put Magic here at the bottom of the Bs. Next up, let's go with James Worthy in 1988, and this was a very good finals performance for Big Game James, but it wasn't something insane. It was not a finals performance which overall deserves to be any higher than the B tier. What stands out from James Worthy in this game was his Game 7 performance. He had a 36-point triple-double on incredible efficiency to win the series, and that game alone won him the Finals MVP. And while I don't have an issue with him winning this award, I think that you can first of all make a strong argument that the award should have gone to Magic instead of Worthy in this situation, and second of all, if we're looking at the series as a whole, he just wasn't all that phenomenal. He really gets carried by his final game here, and if we're looking at the overall 7-game stat line for James Worthy, it's nothing all that special for a Finals MVP. So I'm going to keep him down here in the B tier, but it was still a very good Finals performance, and I'm glad James Worthy won a Finals MVP because he's one of those underrated players all time. He played with too many other good superstars, and this kind of award really helps him get the recognition he deserves. A very similar story can be said for Joe Dumars, who I actually feel is even more underrated than James Worthy all time, and won the Finals MVP in 1989. Now in this series, Dumars gave you 27 points and 6 assists on very good efficiency. He played great defense, of course, and he was the clear-cut best player in the series. However, the Pistons very clearly outmanned the Los Angeles Lakers even before Magic Johnson got injured. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was old at this point. He was not the same guy he was even 2 years before. Magic was not healthy for the whole series, and I just can't put this into the A tier despite how good Dumars was when you consider the difference in teams and their overall talent level, not even considering the fact that the Lakers were not fully healthy. So Dumars is going to go here near the top of the B tier, but I have decided to finish off B tier with Magic Johnson in 19... You know what? I'm going to put this in A tier. I'm really debating whether I wanted to put Magic at the bottom of A or the top of B, and even though it seems a little hypocritical considering I put James Worthy in B despite him getting carried by his final game, I'm going to put 1980 Magic Johnson in the bottom of A tier. I think this is a better series that he had than anyone who came before him on this list. Now, this is very much a situation where a dude is getting carried by their final game of the series. Magic had, in my opinion, the greatest game in NBA history in Game 6 of this finals. With Kareem Abdul-Jabbar out of the series, Magic came out and he had one of the best performances we've ever seen. He led the team in scoring, he got a ton of rebounds, he playmaked great, his efficiency was incredible. He absolutely stole a win on the Philadelphia 76ers home floor from that team to win the final series. Kareem was so sure that they were going to lose this game, he didn't even bother traveling to Philly for the game. He decided to just rest it up in LA and hope that he could play in Game 7. And Magic came out and he played great, stole the series. Incredible performance. However, the difference between him and James Worthy, aside from the fact that this was still a better final game performance than what James Worthy pulled off in '88, is also that Magic's stats for the series as a whole are more impressive. He was more efficient than Worthy, he scored about the same amount of points as Worthy, but he playmaked significantly more. He had a lot more assists than James Worthy. I believe he had more rebounds as well. If not, he just had a very good rebounding series. Magic overall, just especially for a rookie, put in an incredible performance in this series, the clear second best player in games 1 through 5, and then absolutely took over game 6 with Kareem out of the lineup. So I am going to put him here in the A tier. Next up, Larry Bird in 1984. An absolutely incredible finals performance by most people's standards. Pretty much just a regular Tuesday for Larry Bird. He gave you his basic stats. He scored his points, he got a bunch of rebounds, he, did some good playmaking, his efficiency was solid. But by Larry Bird standards, I don't think this was anything special, and I really just don't have too much to say about this series. Magic Johnson is underrated in the '84 finals. He was not as bad as people say, even though people do criticize a few big blunders he had down the stretch of some games. Overall, Larry Bird just outplayed him, though. He earned the Finals MVP, and there's not too much to say about it. I'm going to put it in here in the middle of the A tier. Up next, we have Kareem in 1985. This was a phenomenal throwback performance for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He gave you about 26 points, he got boards, he gave you 5 assists, he had quite a few blocks, his efficiency was very good. It was everything you would have expected out of Kareem from about 4 years earlier, but in 1985, for him to do this against Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish, absolutely incredible throwback performance. With that said, I have seen this performance a little bit overrated by some people, simply because I don't think people appreciate how good Magic was in this series as well. Magic Johnson was still there, he was still scoring the ball a whole bunch, he was still one of the best playmakers who has ever lived, arguably the best, giving you a whole bunch of assists, he was getting boards himself, he was efficient, and James Worthy was there at this point, and he was giving you near all-star level production as well. So, while Kareem did play very well, considering the amount of help he had, I'm only going to put him here in the A tier, even though I have seen some people previously rank this as an S tier finals performance. Finishing out the A tier, I am going to go with Larry Bird in 1986. This was his best finals performance of his career, in my opinion. He nearly averaged a triple-double against the Houston Rockets, while also giving you close to 25 points and scoring the ball on decent efficiency. This was against an incredible defensive Houston Rockets team. Yes, the Celtics overall were a deeper and better team than the Rockets, but Larry Bird was still absolutely incredible in this finals, and I think he deserves to be here at the top of the A tier. However, in the S tier, we have to put Magic Johnson's best finals performance from 1987. The dude was unstoppable this season. This was his year. Peak Magic Johnson was 1987, and he absolutely showed it in the finals. He led both teams in points, rebounds, assists, and steals, while shooting 24 of 25 from the free throw line. That is 96% from the free throw line, along with 54% from the floor overall. Magic was incredibly efficient. He did everything you could have possibly asked him in this series. He was clutch, and it was an S tier finals performance. It was phenomenal. This was peak Magic Johnson. However, Moses Malone in 1983, maybe I'm biased because I'm a Sixers fan, but I think this was the best finals performance of the decade. The man went out against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and the Lakers, and he gave you 26 points, 18 rebounds, 1.5 steals, 1.5 blocks on a 51% field goal percentage. Absolutely dominated Kareem on both ends. He defended him very well, he completely bullied him on offense, and his teammates, while decent, did not show up to the extent that many of the other guys on this list have. Magic always had more help than this. Dr. J was still there, Andrew Toney was still there in Philly, but neither of them gave you true superstar performances next to the Finals MVP, MVP like Magic Johnson and Larry Bird were often getting from their teammates in the years that they were winning these awards. So I'm going to go with Moses Malone as the best finals MVP of the 1980s. And here it is. This is my list. I hope you enjoyed, and sometime in the next couple of days, I will be finishing this series out with the 70s as well as 1969, because why would I make a full video just for that one? Thank you for watching.